Well, guys, I'll try and keep this pretty tight. Social media, it's funny because when it comes down to this, I sort of tripped and fell into this. The reality is, this is definitely not my specialty. This is my lovely wife, and it's one of those areas where I feel like it's a little bit the haves and the have-nots on the team, and I think anytime you're starting this new potential program, I remember back in the day when doing the postcards, it was just like Josh and Tom would send out letters or Brett would send out letters, and the rest of the team would look at that and be like, man, that's a lot of time, it's a lot of money. And even back then, we didn't have the kind of ROR protection we do now. So sometimes it was hard for people to wrap their head around that kind of expense. And so, we just said, was it worth it? And we would sometimes drag our feet. And when it came to like doing the emails, like content emails every month, for a long time, I said, man, that feels like a lot of money to spend. I didn't understand it as the investment that it really was. And I said, is it going to be worth it? And I saw how it's really deep in the connection that I have with my clients. And then it came to voice drops. And okay, voice drops I knew was a slam dunk. I laughed. The first time voice drops were presented to me, I literally said, I bet I have customers who haven't heard my voice in 13 years. And voice drops are awesome. So like voice drops are crazy. Value propositions through the roof. But social media is an interesting one because it's one of those things where, yes, you can throw money at it. And I'm going to encourage all of you to do that. And I'm going to encourage you, honestly, just give it to my wife. I see no part of that, but it's my advice. But it's really time and attention more than just finances. And so I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of kind of best practices, kind of give you a few ideas, but also share with you all the experience we had with our big campaign we did last year right after the fair that Kelly mentioned, the big give. Here's the thing I will tell you about the social media. I think a lot of y'all have pages, and some of you have done a good job of building up your follower count, and some of you maybe not. And by the way, that's okay. That's okay. Start anywhere. It's one of my favorite expressions in life and business. It's, I don't know where to start. Great, start anywhere. So whatever you have is good. But I can tell you that what's cool is when you really start to nail this in, this allows you to have a different kind of conversation with your customers than any of your other marketing methods are providing. Like with social media, with what we have the ability to reach, the kind of content we can send out to them, it is different and can be engaging in a really exciting way that is very different from postcards, very different from catalogs, very different from emails. And it's when you really start to wrap your head around it, it becomes kind of a fun and a really kind of special thing. So couple general rules just to give you some meat. Consistent promotion. Okay, like the best way to get this thing going is you need to make this part of your routine. You need to make this part of your famous let go. This should be part of your verbiage about, hey, join the conversation. One of the best ways to stay in touch with us is to make sure you like our Facebook page. You'll get your email with some info on your order. It'll have a link. Make sure you click on that, or if you can, get them to literally just pull their phone out and do it on the spot. Make sure all your emails that you're sending out, your thank you emails, your acknowledgement emails, whether you're using Vector Connect or whether you're doing it separately, like there should be verbiage at the bottom that has a link to it. And there should be a value proposition. Hey, make sure you like our Facebook page for recipes, really fun drawings, and also sharpening events in your area. Okay, and like being able to leverage service events as one of the carrots to get people to engage with our page, we found has been really, really effective. So making sure you have really consistent promotion. The second thing is mixing up the type of posts that you're actually doing. You should have a healthy mix of, sharing things from like the Cutco feed, in addition to videos, in addition to images, in addition to, hashtags and things like that. But a healthy mix is good. But I will tell you, to this day, Facebook Live videos are still priority. Okay, Facebook has an algorithm, and one of the frustrating things is you may have 200 people who like your page, and then you put up a post and you see that 14 people saw it, and you're one of them. Okay, so you're kind of like, it can be demotivating. It feels like you can put a lot of time and effort into it and not get a lot out of it. Well, that's because the algorithm determines how many people are actually going to see the post you're putting up. The algorithm is everything. So again, what Shmay just put, Facebook Live, it is literally an 8x. Videos almost always have a higher level of engagement, but even compared to a YouTube video, Facebook Live has 168% higher interaction rate, on top of the fact that it shows in the algorithm a hell of a lot more. So not only does it show more, but people actually click on it more, if you're following me on that. Not a little more, they click on it a hell of a lot more. So in addition, videos are clicked on about 20% more often than other forms. So anytime you can find an excuse for a video, it's great. By the way, sometimes people go, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. I mean, honestly, guys, if you're behind a booth and it's slow, pick up a vegetable knife, turn your camera on, and go Facebook Live. It'd be like, oh my God, if you don't have this knife, what are you doing with your life? Okay. And then just whatever you would say to a customer about a vegetable knife, do a 40-second pitch on the vegetable knife and be like, hey, we'll come to you next time. I can't wait to hook you all up with your veggie knife. Just simple things like that. But Facebook Live things are amazing. But here's one of the areas where I think a lot of us end up kind of missing the boat. Consistent posting is one of the biggest things that Facebook looks at if you're a legit business, and to see if you're someone that they should bother with, trying to court your business and therefore trying to get you up higher in the algorithm. Little fact, and this is just Miriam because of the posts they do. If you're posting less than once a day, okay, you go down a tier in the priority list on the algorithm. So if you're posting less than once a day, they don't consider you like an active business that is really driving a presence on Facebook. And again, I know I'm directing a lot of this to Facebook, but again, the same disciplines that you can apply to Facebook, because say what you will, guys, I get it, Instagram, Snapchat, all these resources are great. But if you have a Facebook strategy you're nailing, enough of it is transferable, and too much of our markets is still present on Facebook to really ignore that at the expense of any of these other channels. So that's one of the reasons why being able to have some areas you can offload this, whether it's through Miriam, whether it's through some other services, because there's other good people who do it. I'm not stressed about who you use. I'll just encourage you to use it. Okay. And then the other big thing is just to understand what you're trying to get out of your customers. Like if you want to make sure that your posts are getting viewed by as many people as possible, just understand this. Likes are good. Comments are great. Shares are the best. Okay. Likes are good, comments are great, shares are the best. And so the more engagements you're receiving, that's how they weigh everything. But each of those are kind of have a multiplier of their own. The more engagements you're getting on each post, the higher response you're getting. So when it really comes down to it though, like how do we make it better? Okay. Well, there's a couple things that me and Miriam really just decided on with our social media approach. For us guys, we don't have as many followers as a lot of y'all do. Like I'll be the first to tell you that. For us though, we really try to prioritize engagement versus just overall numbers. Because I see people that have really large amounts of followers on their page, but they don't really get a lot that's coming from it. For us, we have 130 people on our page right now, which isn't a particular number, but we get a ton of engagement from those people. Those are real deal people. Those are people who follow and like our page because they want to have that content from us. They want to have that connection with us. And so that's why we kind of have a healthy mix of different types of content we try to put out there. During the fair, kind of the strategy that when me and Miriam sat down to work on this, honestly, probably about 50% of our posts during this time of year will be fair related. Okay, so probably about 50% of it will be things related to the fair or my presence at the fair. Another 30% will be kind of product related or just value added, recipes, anatomy of the knife, things like that. 10% of it will be kind of more personal stuff like photo of the kids with just kind of some funny stuff like, hey, they can't wait to see you. Things where it's tangentially related to the business, to a photo of your dog. We get a surprisingly high amount of engagement on those, but you can overdo it too. If you do too much of that stuff, then it loses the focus of your page. And the last 10% is about Facebook Live videos. So for us, we kind of have a breakdown of what we're trying to fill in content-wise. And guys, when you do this right, it's fun, man. It's fun. Just to give you an example, we took a thing of the veggie knife. We had just kind of a collage image of the veggie knife breaking down a butternut squash. By the way, Brett Kramer does awesome stuff. If you want examples of good content that's simple you could create, follow him on Facebook. He does great. But as an example, we did like the veggie knife. And then I made a point of looking up in who are some of our customers that have veggie knives or ultimate sets or that had that. We shot out text to a bunch of those customers and said, hey, I was putting up some stuff on one of my favorite knives. It's actually in your set. I was thinking about you guys. And so if you don't like our Facebook page, make sure you go like it, but you got to go check this post out. It really made me think of you. Guys, you do that, send that out to 15 people. 8 of those 15 immediately go like the page. And all of a sudden, like they are not just people that passively did it. They sought you out and they are part of the conversation now. Like it is just engaging on a higher level. It's taking that same strategy that Luke talked about sort of prioritizing and the investment that is represented with doing the tickets or doing appreciation gifts. Guys, the difference is here you're investing a little bit of time or equity. Okay, like yes, you can invest money to have people do posts for you, but going that next level, like when you have your gold star clients, if you go through a list and you said, who are my top 100 clients? If those top 100 are not currently following your page, you should try to find out why. You should try to find out, are those people that are actually are those people that are on there? Are those people that are don't have social media? Because you can just search and see if you find them anyway. But when you get a chance to go through there, it makes a huge difference. When you do have something that like you're really excited about, or it's really good content. For us, we did just a video on just kind of doing a reverse sear on a steak. That video reached 650 people. Okay. And so for us to have 130 people that actually follow our page, but we had a reach of 650 people from that one post, that's because of shares. And that's just because so many people are engaging that it's showing up in other people's feeds. Okay. The way Facebook works, if enough people that have enough shared interest are really into this thing, well, it'll start to populate in other people's feeds, a suggested post. So there's a lot of things that when you start getting people to engage with you the right way on that higher level, it makes a huge difference. So I wanted to kind of transition though and talk about what we did this last fall. Going into November for like Black Friday and stuff, it just didn't really have like a supervision for kind of like doing a Black Friday sale or anything like that. We probably should, but I was busy and tired and I just didn't do it. And so instead, we decided to flip it on its head. And we did this big campaign for a month that we called the Big Give. And we said instead of Black Friday, it's all about, you know, people spending a lot of money and doing all that. For us, we wanted to give away a lot of stuff instead. And we just kind of turned it on its head and tried to make it a really fun thing. And we used that as an excuse after the fair last year to really engage with the new people we had added at a high level. And again, not just to get the overall numbers, even though we want the overall numbers, but to really get the right people in there, the people we'd be the most excited to have. And so when it came down to it, when we were going through this process of the Big Give, I just took leftover promo product I had from the fair and we gave away $3,000 worth of Cutco. Okay. Now, when we would give it away, just so you all know, I totally put my thumb on the scale. We had people where, like, if I was giving away 3 spreaders, probably two of them I was picking out who won just because I wanted them to get it. And the other one, I would just do a drawing based off the entries we did. So we did really do drawings, but you better believe I really did goose the results a little bit. Guys, during this process, you know, a normal post for us might be getting 30 to 50, you know, like reaching 30 to 50 people. During this process, an average post for us on the low end reached 80 people. On like the more popular ones would reach 400 to 500 people. Okay. And so again, it's just the math on that doesn't make sense because there were times where I had almost 100 people on our page, but we would get 8 people who would view, you know, or 12 people who would see it, 2 engagements. Now we have, you know, not a whole lot more, but the people we have are people that are connected with it. And we're able to have this different conversation as far as what we're trying to do. And some of it is a little bit on the back end. And what I can tell you though is by going through that process of the Big Give, like our main post on it got viewed by over 1,500 people. Okay. And again, like I said, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Here's another crazy thing at service events this spring. I sold over $3,000 at service events to people that literally were people we gave things to during the Big Give. I'm sorry, not 3,000. It was 5,000 because I had a legacy cookware in there too. But we sold over $5,000 to people that we sent things to. And this was stuff that was a sunk cost. I'd already paid for this. This has been a consistent source of referrals, of leads, of sales. You know, it's made our service events. When these people come to service events, they're baller. I had a lady that at the Fort Worth Home and Garden Show. I had a lady stop by the booth. And I wasn't have the best day ever, but I popped out a homemaker. But one of the ladies who stopped by, she literally said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this last year, like for Christmas, you know, close enough. She's like, for Christmas, they just gave everyone Cutco and they sent me this spreader and I love it. And they take such good care of us and they're amazing." And it made it a slam dunk. Having customers that are that engaged in you and what you're doing, it just gives you the excuse to connect with people like that in a different way. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to touch on really quick, and then I'm the perfect talk for us to regain 2 or 3 minutes, make sure that we give everyone the time they need. The last thing I will say is this. There is a place for boosting and sponsoring your post. You know you're doing something right because Facebook will start to say, hey, we're going to give you a $10 credit to boost this post, or we'll give you a $5 credit to boost this post, okay? You got to be really, really careful with that. You will very quickly fall out of line with sort of company policies and what they want. So you really need to be mindful. The kind of posts that you boost should be really intentional. For us, it was more about like the Big Give, or more about like a particular kind of a cool product. It wasn't something that was directly like linking to my profile or to my portal. Hey, let me sell you this thing. But it was much more just informational or value building type stuff. But we have generated some pretty good sales and a lot of engagement from that. When you do sponsor a post or two, what happens is that it boosts you in the algorithms with all your organic followers. So not just that one post, but the post going forward. But please, guys, just to make sure we protect this for everyone, anytime you are boosting a post, you have the option of which categories it's going to go to. You need to limit it to either people who follow your page or their friends. Okay. If you just try to do like a geographic area, that's the way we're going to get to a point where Cutco is going to really make life even harder for us in the social media world. If every one of us is trying to blast out to every person in Edmond and every person in Highland Park and every person in Minneapolis, trust me, like that's where it's going to get in the company radar in a negative way. But if you can just do a boosted post where you're like, hey, one of our favorite clients, Sharon, told us about this awesome recipe. Here's what we did. Click and check out the comments to see the link. You got to try it out. Even just weird stuff like that shows up in someone's feed, it's not offensive to anyone. And those are actually the type of posts that tended to draw people to our page. We get those likes, and we would have people just start messaging us out of the blue going, oh my gosh, I've had Cutco forever. I haven't had a Cutco guy in years. How do I get my target? And we're just adding people to the base. So don't get me wrong, we're at a time now where our systems are good and we're ready for that really explosive growth. And so now we are ready to take our page out of 22 or 2,500 clients we have. We need to have 500-600 of them. We need at least a quarter of them on our page. Like that's my feeling. But we really decided to say, can we figure out how to create a high level of engagement, even if it's a smaller amount of people, but getting the right people on the bus, being able to communicate them with in a way that they're very responsive to, where it's a very positive dialogue. And man, it's such a fun snowball effect, though. It is such a fun snowball effect. More than in my entire career, I can't tell you how many times I've had people like Leanne on Friday. I only had 2 orders. They were both the past customers, and both of them dropped Miriam by name. And these aren't people who've been with me forever. They were just like, oh yeah, you're with Miriam, right? They couldn't remember my name. All right. And I was like, all right, well, F off. I'm your knife guy. Okay. She's never seen a demo, for God's sake. She's gonna watch this later and gonna laugh about that. But literally, I had both cases. They dropped Miriam's name, and I asked them. I was like, "Oh, is it from the emails?" And one of them was like, "Yeah, she sends me the emails." And the other one said, "No. She has those funny things she posts with your kids on the page." And I just laughed that, like, out of my marketing dollars, I spend a hell of a lot more on email than I do social media. And granted, that's anecdotal. It's a sample size of one day. But I laughed that literally half my sales that day were driven by, the people that are continuing to engage with us through email. But the other half were people who are engaging with us on that Facebook page. 1 out of 130 people showed up to Canton that day. They knew they'd see me there because we posted some stuff, and they bought some more knives from me. And there's another $400 closer to my goal. So guys, here's what I'll tell you. The reality is, just when you're going through this, it seems like one of those things where you build it up, you do it for a while, but then it just sort of dies back down and not a lot happens. But you got to start somewhere, man. Just start somewhere. Start anywhere. But it's going to come down to consistency. So it's like anything else in business. Any one of y'all could do this stuff and do a really great job. My advice, though, is partner up with people who can spend the time on it. But this doesn't mean that you just hand it off, because a lot of y'all have worked with Miriam or worked with other companies, but if you don't add it to your emails, if you don't get a chance to promote it during your famous let go, hey man, we post a lot of really fun stuff and we love to give away Cutco to awesome people like you. Make sure you like our Facebook page. I promise it'll be really, really fun. Okay, like if you're not willing to add some of that to it, you're not going to get the kind of engagement you want. But I promise you, like, no matter whether you have 50 followers or you have 300 right now, you could be doing a better job of engaging with them. And as that happens, you're going to see this giant spike in response you get, and you get all the benefits from it that we see other people have and we all want to get and we all want to. So that being said, Miriam, again, she does my socials. She's done it for a lot of the team over the last couple of years. She's definitely willing to do it again. I think she charges $150 for the fair season. The reality is, that's up to you guys. I have no horse in that race, other than I'm all about partnering with good people. And so I'll tell her to post in the group me kind of like what she offers, what's in it for you. But all her images are in line with like the company guidelines. You're not going to get any angry emails from Olean, and it allows you to really customize things in a pretty high level with a lot of fair content too. So I would recommend you use that, but the reality is do your thing. So either way, let's get on the bus, guys. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And I can't wait for the Big Give 2.0. Big Give 2.0 this fall. It's going to be ridiculous. I already have a galley set aside. I ordered from one of the conferences. We're going to give that away. We're going to make a big freaking deal, and it's going to be so much fun.